Now, here's your host, Bill Teegins.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. A great week for the Cowboys. A victory at Nebraska, a victory at home against Iowa State. Coach, your team is probably playing its best basketball at the right time of the year.
Bill, I think we're probably playing about as well as anyone in the conference other than Kansas. When you look at the last 6 games we've played, we could have very easily won them all. We lost an overtime game down at the University of Oklahoma. Missouri, we probably should have won by several points if we had just converted free throws. But the team did bounce back and played very well in Lincoln. We won that game 72-57, and we did hit free throws, 16 out of 18 in the second half. And then we came back on Wednesday evening and played the number 22 team in the country, the number 2 team in the Big 8, Iowa State, and a great defensive game. Mr. Iba would have liked the game, and we were honoring the 1946 National Championship team, and they were all in attendance, and some of them told me after the game, that looked just like the way we played back in 1946. But Iowa State and Kansas and our ball club probably are as good at defensive teams as there are in the Big 8 right now, at least consistent-wise. So 2 good wins for us, and now we just got to play them one at a time. We got 3 conference games left, and we have a chance to win out. And if we do, then I would think that that would place us probably on the NCAA bubble.
Well, let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Cowboys hit the road, and Coach got off to a great start, really took the crowd out of this game early.
It was almost an eerie feeling in this particular game. Normally, it is so loud up there in Nebraska, and I've always thought we've had great success, but I think it's a tough place to win. And they had 14,000 people there, but they'd had some problems earlier in the week, and I don't know whether the crowd was waiting for something that the Cornhuskers would do well to really get into the game. And they did do that, and the crowd got into the game, but every time it seemed like Nebraska had some momentum, somebody in our ball club hit a big shot, just like that shot right there. And that'll put people back in their seats real fast.
Well, they did come alive a couple times, but as you said, you answered everything, and you held some of their big guns really down, especially early in the game.
Well, Nebraska has very good talent, and one never knows what happens, but sometimes when you get in that downward spiral and you start losing, it's just hard to pull out of it. And I think right now Nebraska's lost like 7 games in a row, but yet they're capable of beating anyone in the conference. But we did a great job on their outstanding players. I think Boone is very good. He only got 5 points. Strickland had 14, but it took him 14 shots to get that. Really, the game was won with solid defense and outstanding board play.
You know, Marlon Dorsey's really picked up his game, hasn't he, over the last 3 or 4 weeks?
He's played very well the last few games, and I'm really happy for him because Marlon's a tireless worker. He really puts forth effort in practice. In this particular game, you know, I mentioned rebounding. We out-rebounded them 44-28. Lambert and Peterson led us in, or I should say Lambert and Scare led us in scoring with 15 points apiece, but Pete had 9 and Andre had 8. Marlon had 11 points. So very good balanced scoring, and Keani had 8 points. That's that's the kind of scoring we've been getting. We don't have a Country or a Randy Rutherford like last year. Those guys, you always knew one was going to hit for 20 points. Well, this year we're getting guys hitting anywhere from 7 to 15 points, but we got several of them doing that. So good balanced scoring.
There's Pete from outside, but we just saw Jason Scare do some things here while you were talking. It's nice to see him come back. He's played a couple of good games back-to-back.
Well, he struggled, you know, in the game here with Missouri, and he felt so badly about missing the 2 free throws late in the game, and he went out and really worked on his shooting. And when we went into Nebraska, well, he did shoot the ball well. He hit 2 out of 5 from three-point range and tied for high point honors. And in the game with Iowa State, he almost had the 3rd double-double of the year. He had 9 points and 10 rebounds, so solid performance by Jason.
Well, you're rolling along. You're up by 11 at halftime. Second half, here we go.
We really spurted out on them just before the half. That game was like a 1-point game, and we ended up going to the dressing room ahead 37-26. But Nebraska came back right here at the beginning of the second half and really made a run. But this will what puts the team. Look at that ball. That is a shooter's bounce right there.
Is.
But Andre hit that basket, and when that happens, boy, that'll put the crowd back in their seats. But it also is it's a momentum breaker on the part of the team that the shot goes against.
Mo has made a difference too, being in there, hasn't he?
You know, we didn't have Maurice in the middle of the season. That's why our record is very deceiving. When you look at our record at 14-9, if Mo had been in the lineup for those 4 or 5 games he was out, believe me, our record would be better. He played well up there. He played well against Iowa State the other night. So if we are going to do well the remainder of the season and in the Big 8 tournament, he certainly will play a big role.
Obviously, your backs are to the wall right now because of what happened earlier in the season, but it has to be a good feeling for you and the players to know that your fate's sort of in your own hands and you are playing well on both sides of the ball.
Well, I think the biggest thing, we're playing much better defensively, and we're doing so without fouling so much. And offensively, we're taking care of the ball. Our shot selection has been good. And if we can continue to hit free throws, then I think the future is bright.
Well, these guys, that had to help them against Nebraska feel good about themselves again to shoot those kind of free throws.
Well, after going 12 for 34 against the Tigers, we come back and hit 20 out of 28 against the Huskers. And like I mentioned, 16 out of 18 in the second half. Great pass and nice cut to the basket by Keontae Roberts.
You guys are just getting, you said, the balanced scoring. You can just see every game, it seems like 2 or 3 guys step up. Chad comes up, and we'll see that in the Iowa State game. Hits a big three-pointer for you. Just everybody seems to be helping out right now.
Everyone is contributing, and our practice sessions have gone well, and that's the thing we tell our players, to just try to get better each day and play these games one at a time, and we'll take our chances on winning or losing if you guys will do that. So this ball club has made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks.
Pete, everybody's firing in. There's Dorsey from outside.
Well, we were 8 out of 14 from beyond the three-point arc, so that's really good shooting.
72-57 the final, so a good beginning to the week for the Cowboys. When we come back, we'll come back to Gallagher-Iba Arena and take a look at the 22nd-ranked Iowa State Cyclones when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. The Cowboys return home on Wednesday to take on the Iowa State Cyclones. It was a special night because you honored some special people.
Bob Curlin, who I guess it was like 50 years ago, the day after we played Iowa State, he set the individual record for most points scored, 58. The closest anyone has come in that period of time was Randy Rutherford's 45 last year against Kansas. I had dinner with these guys the night before the game. And what a remarkable group of gentlemen and their wives and guys. They got to tell Mr. Iva stories, and they had me in awe because all of those people are in their early to mid-70s, and all of them have been very successful beyond winning the national championship. They went on and did very well and have just a very, very neat group of people. But we had a good time, and I think they had a good time. They were introduced at halftime, as you saw, and the people there in Gallagher, Iowa, certainly gave them a very warm welcome back home.
That was great. Great team. The 5 starters made all conference. That's unbelievable when you think back.
Well, nobody's ever done it. It's a great trivia question. Those 5 people made all Missouri Valley in 1946. Now they're playing. Iowa State's playing different defenses here, and that's a great pass by Andre into Keontae. And this first 20-minute period was probably one of the best halves of basketball we've played this year, Bill. You know, we jumped out and led 30-18 at halftime, and we missed 2 or 3 easy shots, or we could have had probably close to 17, 18-point lead. But defense was outstanding and good passing. There's Jason Skier stepping up on in transition and knocking down a 3. Jason, as I mentioned, he was 2 out of 3 from three-point range, had 9 points and 10 rebounds to lead us in that category.
One of the key things, too, I think, was you talked about your defense, and you didn't foul anybody hardly at all in the first half.
There was a great pass by Marlon Dorsey into Maurice Robinson. There's R.W. McQuarters. He stepped right up there and hit a big 15-footer for us.
You guys put a lot of pressure on Willoughby, their big star.
Here's Willoughby hitting one of the few shots that he really got a good look at all evening long. We smothered Willoughby with Andre had him most of the night, but R.W. had him part of the time, and I think they just finally wore him out. he ended up scoring 16 points, but it took 16 shots to get that many points. And the same way with Pratt, their fine inside player, he had 14 points, but it took him, he had 12 points, but it took him 14 shots. So those two best players for Iowa State, they were 10 out of 30, and that's not going to win too many ball games. Good drive by Jerome Lambert.
Yeah, that was big time right there.
There's Chad Alexander. We set up a special play, and he came in there and hit a trade just before halftime to give us the 12-point lead. And the thing you're always, really concerned about as a coach is when you come out of the dressing room, this is one thing we always emphasize to the team. Now, you guys played so well, but the first 5 minutes of the second half, we have really got to go out there and turn up the heat. And they came out and just outplayed us there for about a 5-minute period. And all of a sudden, I look up and we're only 2 points ahead.
Yeah, they came out red hot.
We came back, and Maurice Robinson hit some big shots for us there in the second half. He ended up scoring 8 points and hit 4 out of 5 shots. And Maurice, as he gets in better condition, is just playing better and better every day.
Well, that shot that he hit right there, that 14, 15, 16-footer, he's almost deadly on, isn't he?
I really believe that he and Adrian Peterson are the best shooters we have from that range. Mo's not a three-point shooter, but when he gets to that point on the floor, he is really an outstanding shooter.
That surely helped you last night.
There's a nice drive by Andre. He misses it, but Jerome tips it in.
Well, Jerome's playing well too, isn't he?
We shot 56% from the field and didn't have very many free throws, but we did hit 6 out of 10 and hit some down the stretch when we needed to hit them. Out-rebounded them 34-26.
You know, you talk about free throws. So this team has gone to the line like 300 times more than their opponents. But Wednesday night, you did a great job not fouling them till late.
Iowa State has beaten people because they've been able to get to the free throw line. They have some terrific drivers, which allows them to get fouled a lot. And that was the number one key we felt like in our scouting report. Randall Dickey did the scouting this game, and we talked about it. And he looked at a lot of films, and we told our squad numerous times, don't make any dumb fouls and put them in the bonus situation where they get a bunch of free throws. In the first game at Ames, there's a great move right here by Adrian Peterson. They were pressing. We had a press breaker, broke it. He got a layup. You'll see another one, I think, here in just a few minutes. But we told them, keep them off the line. The first game, they shot 33 free throws. We shot 10 when we played at Iowa State. And when we played them here Wednesday evening, they only got to the line 10 times just like we did. They hit 8, we hit 6. And that was a big key in the ball game. And here it is late in the game, and we've got a big lead. Now watch this. We stunt like they do in football. We stunt on this play right here. He misses, but watch it. Now this is not the one. But you're going to see right here. Keontae tips it in. When I say stunt, instead of everybody running straight in line, sometimes we go behind and we screen for people. And
boy, he really played well though down the stretch. Outside of that 1 5-minute stretch to start second half, I mean, this was a good ball game for you.
We played very well, with the exception maybe of about 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning of the second half. Have a lot of respect for this coaching staff. They have really done a great job with their ball club this year, and they're going to finish second in the league, and they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. And I always applaud, coaching staffs that really, in my opinion, at least have overachieved. And sometimes that works. It's like our ball club last year. I thought our team overachieved, and I think Tim Floyd and his staff have really done a super job with Iowa State.
Well, the final score was 58-46. That wrapped up a good week for the Cowboys at 2-0. You know, the Big 8 tournament is right around the corner. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's ahead when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, the Big 8 tournament is just a few weeks away, and for Cowboy fans, that brings back great memories from a year ago. This year, still a lot of jockeying for position. Tom Dorado takes a look in our off-the-court feature.
In 2 weeks, 8 teams will make their annual journey to Kansas City to take part in one of the nation's most successful and exciting postseason basketball tournaments. It will be the 20th Big 8 tournament and the final get-together as we know it now. The Big 12, of course, takes center stage beginning next year. Kemper Arena has been the home of this family feud for all 3 rounds since 1986. First-round contests were played at campus sites from 1977 until 1985. The tournament winner represents the conference as its champion and gains an automatic berth to the NCAA's Big Dance. Perhaps never before have so many teams headed to Kansas City needing victories to continue their campaigns. As we roll down the home stretch of the regular season, as many as 7 teams are still jockeying for position when it comes to those all-important first-round pairings. Number 5, Kansas, is a lock for the number 1 seed. All teams have 3 outings remaining. Each win or loss scrambles the standings even more. It's almost a certainty the conference tiebreaker system will be used once again, perhaps a number of times to determine that opening bracket. Should the tiebreaker come into play, here is how the Big 8 seeds teams 1 through 8. First, the final 1-loss records determine seedings. If 2 teams have the same record, head-to-head competition comes into play. If those teams split the season series, then their records against teams from top to bottom in the league will be used to break the deadlock. Should no winner emerge, then seedings will be determined by a draw. It should be noted if 3 or more teams are tied, regular season competition among the tied institutions shall be pooled into a mini round robin. Teams will then be ranked according to their records in that round robin. There's nothing like winning the tournament championship. Oklahoma State experienced that thrill last year. It's almost like starting the season over. Everyone begins from square one. It's truly the beginning of March Madness. And Cowboy fans from coast to coast can still tell you all about how good each win feels, beginning with that first one in sold-out Kemper Arena.
Bill, when you look at the remaining games of all the conference schools, Kansas is going to win the Big 8. And as I mentioned, I think Iowa State's got 2 home games left with Colorado and Kansas State. Probably will finish second. But from 3rd through 7th, anything could happen. So probably for the first time in a long while, you could find a team that might finish in the lower division, end up winning the Big 8 tournament if they get hot and play 3 games in a row, because Kansas is a very good basketball team, but they're not playing as well right now as they were for a while because they're not shooting the ball very well.
Well, it's always a great time of year, and what's going to happen the last few weeks is really going to be fun. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's ahead for the Cowboys when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. For the Cowboys, a visit to Boulder on Saturday rather than on Wednesday back here against the Oklahoma Sooners.
You know, we've only lost one time in Boulder while I've been here in the 5 years, but it's never been easy. Yep. I think the altitude always plays a factor, and Colorado's got 3 outstanding players in Billups, Tuck, and Moore, and they're certainly capable of beating anyone. And of course, then Wednesday night when we entertain Oklahoma, it's always a special game, but this takes on extra significance, and it's our last game, it's senior night, and assuming we can win out in Colorado, I think the game will be even more meaningful, because if we win, then it means by going to Missouri, you could end up the season 7-7 conference, and I think that's very important. You know, I want to clarify one thing. When I mentioned anybody win the Big 8 tournament, I believe that, and I said Kansas wasn't playing as well, but Kansas is still one of the top teams in the country, and it would take a great effort on the part of any of the other 7 teams to beat the Jayhawks, but it could happen. You know, the NCAA is right around the corner, and somebody asked me earlier, said, who are the best teams? Well, I think there's several teams that are on a level all by themselves. Kentucky, Mass, Connecticut, Georgetown, Syracuse, Cincinnati, maybe a couple teams in the West, Utah, perhaps UCLA, Texas Tech, James Dickey, my old assistant, he's got a great ball club down at Texas Tech. They've only lost one time. So after the Big 8 tournament, you get to the big show, the NCAA, and that's really going to be a fun time, and I think it's a wide open affair. One other thing before we leave here, everybody get out and support the high school playoffs this weekend.
It's a great time of year all the way in basketball. For Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. We'll see you next week, everybody, on the Eddie Sutton Show.